Far beyond the dry valleys of Morica Hills, there stood a mountain nobody climbed after sunset. The people called it the Sleeping Back. From far away, the mountain looked like a giant lying beneath the earth. Covered in forests and stone, old hunters said that sometimes, during storms, the mountain breathed. Most people laughed at those stories, except for a boy named Tano. Tano lived in a tiny village at the foot of the hills. He was small for his age, always asking questions, always wandering too far into the woods. The elders constantly warned him, never follow the drums at night. Because sometimes, when the moon was thin, deep drum beats echoed from inside the mountain. Like a giant heartbeat. One dry season, the rivers began disappearing, crops died, animals vanished from the forest. The village chief told everyone the mountain spirits were angry. But Tano noticed something strange. Every morning, huge footprints appeared near the empty riverbeds. Not human footprints, giant ones. One night, unable to resist, Tano followed the drum sounds into the hills, carrying only a lantern and a carved wooden knife from his grandfather. The deeper he walked, the warmer the air became. Then he found it, a doorway. Not built by humans, carved directly into the mountain itself. And beside it sat a giant woman. She was taller than a tree. Even while seated, her braid hair looked like thick ropes, and her skin was gray like old stone. One eye was closed with sleep. The other stared directly at Tano. "You are very small," she rumbled. Tano nearly dropped the lantern. "You are very large," he answered. For a moment, the giant woman said nothing. Then suddenly she laughed so loudly dust fell from the cliffs. "My name is Neruma," she said. You were the first human child to answer honestly instead of screaming. Tano learned that the giants once protected the valleys long ago. They controlled underground rivers that fed the land. But humans became afraid of them and drove them deep into the mountains generations earlier. Now the underground water tunnels were collapsing. "That is why your rivers are dying," Neruma explained. "Then fix them," Tano said. The giant woman looked away sadly. "We are too few now, and the deep giant has awakened." From somewhere below the mountain came a terrible roar. The ground shook. Neruma explained that beneath the hills slept an ancient giant called Gorath. Enormous even by giant standards long ago, he protected the earth. But after centuries underground, he had become wild with hunger. If he reaches the surface, Neruma said, he will swallow forests whole. Tano should have run home. Instead he asked, "What can I do?" Neruma stared at the tiny boy for a long moment. Then she smiled. "Small things enter places giants cannot." Deep beneath the mountain, Tano crawled through narrow tunnels carrying a glowing blue stone. Neruma had given him around him. The mountain groaned like a living beast. Finally he reached the heart cavern, and there he saw Gorath. The giant was chained beneath the earth, larger than houses, breathing like thunder. But Tano noticed the truth immediately. Gorath was not evil. One enormous iron chain had pierced his arm, poisoning him with black smoke. That was why he raged. Carefully, Tano climbed across the giant's arm and used his grandfather's tiny wooden knife to pry loose the black crystal locking the chain. The moment it cracked, the cavern exploded with light. The chain shattered. For a second, Tano thought the giant would crush him. Instead, Gorath slowly opened one glowing golden eye and whispered, "Thank you, little heartbeat." Then the ancient giant stood. The entire mountain shook. Outside, villagers screamed as Gorath emerged from the hills like a moving mountain itself. But instead of destroying the valley, the giant struck the ground with his fist. Once, twice, 3 times, from beneath the earth, rivers burst back to life. Water rushed through the dry land again. The forest drank animals within the valley left. Then Gorath looked once toward tiny Tano standing beside Niruma. And the ancient giant walked beyond the horizon, disappearing into the misty north where no human had once hovered. Years later, people still told stories about the boy who spoke to giants. Most changed the details each time they told it. Some claimed Tano rode on Gorath's shoulder. Others said Niruma became queen of the mountains. But Tano always corrected them. The giants were never monsters. He would say,